So she says, how could you do this? He says, do what? Meanwhile, she gets dressed, she started to get dressed. Well, this, what? He starts getting ready, getting dressed. By the time this thing goes through, he's calmly said, what? I don't understand. Completely through it. Finally, at the end of the scene, he's sitting in his chair, smoking a pipe, reading the paper. She says, what do you want for dinner? Because all of he just played poker face the whole thing straight out. So if you're going to be a witness, and you get caught, you're caught. Don't fight it. Let it go on. Otherwise, you kind of make more attention to it. And the witness, I think you can't go through everything here, but I thought that was one thing where you became a little bit over depressed and just went the other way a little bit too much. I think about the witness too, Annie. You used the calculator. Where'd you go?
Oh, Amy.
That was a good string, but you didn't use the calculator. You just held it like a prop. But if you went like this, okay, maybe it might have more meaning than just holding a calculator. And then if you don't have it ahead of time, well, you should have it ahead of time. Maybe a piece of paper with the numbers if you're going to testify like that. You can have a piece of paper because you just say, you recall the numbers or not all of them. Anything make you refresh your recollection? Yes, a piece of paper I made. This paper, yes, okay, okay. To refresh your recollection, yes it does. So you go ahead and do it. And most people won't call you, they just let you read the paper and do it anyway in real life. You know, and that's one thing we had here. The question problems with objections. When you let's see, Julissa and Delaney went around with objections, and the note I have here is, did you really need the objections? Was it important to the case to keep that out? Where the case goes south and you didn't do it, or did do it? Was it going to get in anyway? So I always figured, I was taught actually, don't make an objection unless it's necessary to protect your record. And if it's necessary to protect your record, fight like a banshee. Okay? But other than that, there we go. You can't stop it. Cheerfully give away that which you're about to lose. Okay. The other thing I noticed about the props is sometimes it's difficult in the courtroom to find a good place to put the props. But with those things, I would have put them over there against that wall. Everybody in the court you could see. And if I were the defense, I would, it's okay to walk around, but if your team, the team can't walk around. Like one of you can walk around the wall all you want, but if you're going to block off the whole team, how are they going to help you and what's going on if you can't see it? So make sure the props are okay, that everybody can see it, particularly if it's blocking your vision on the thing. I saw good control. I saw, oh, you did something that, you said, okay, back to my question, or back to the, that was good. The issue we had here about the foundation, on the conversations, you were talking about what the conversation with Bowman, how did Bowman react? Okay, then the next question, well, what was missing to me is Bowman. I don't know what Bowman's response was. Did Bowman, okay, and did Bowman say anything? Yes, he did. Okay, and then there'd be an objection to hearsay. You make your offer of proof what it would be, and you would find out there'd be some sort of reaction to show that was, if he said something like, "Did you get the money?" or "Oh my God, you did what?" Okay, that would give character to whatever it was. And if you say she said, "You get the money" or something like that. Or if the statement was that I didn't want to go this far, but that also in your materials, you kind of learn things after hearing the ninth case. But that would have been sufficient to show that in that conversation, the circumstances were such you couldn't allow it in. That's why I didn't want it in. The gap wasn't there. And again, you were judged by your arguments from my point of view, as opposed to whether you got it in or not. Okay. May it please the court. What I do, I always turn to the judge and say, may it please the court. The judge will usually give you an out and you say counsel and you keep on, you go. This thing about hanging up for, it's good. If you were taught to be polite like that, then, listen to your coaches because they know how this is working. Except I've noticed one thing is that the coaches are telling you what to do, but all the judges are people like me and like him and other people who don't know your rules. And we're watching what flows in the courtroom. So be natural. The one thing I will have to comment on Alyssa Harris, you modulated your arguments very well. And when you talked about it, I could feel the emotion that you had. It was consistent with what you were saying. You weren't saying something emotional to make a point. You were emotional because it flowed. And a lot of times I see this, some people go like this, pretty good hand movements. Okay? Another hand if it came back to here like this. Well, you know, like, is that what that shows a sense of nervousness. And usually, by this time, you know, this has to be at least your ninth trial too, I'd imagine. You went through quite a bit to get here. And again, we're talking downstairs about how did we judge this, because after last night, it's hard to judge. Like watching a tennis match, you watch it for unforced errors, because everybody is so darn good. And there's like volley of 20 minutes before somebody does something. Okay, fine, I can make a decision based upon that. They weren't all that good, but that's the. But it was really good. It was hard to split the two of you. Any two of you or the whole thing as a team. The attorneys who cross-examined over there, that's what I would have done. I want the witnesses' attention away from the jury. If I'm going to be around here, as far as I can, so the witness just has to look to the juror. Doesn't have to do like railroad bikes, going back and forth. On the witnesses again, the Kirian, Kazian? Huh? You said it's the best place in the world. Okay, you have a character. Why did your character have to volunteer that? Anthony, why do you have to volunteer to think about, they call me Buttons? I mean, does that really add to your character?
Because his character's name is Buttons Talon.
Okay, but why do we have to know that?
Thought it added to the character.
Okay. But what did it do? But what did it do by your analysis of character, the general character, and critical thinking as to how to handle the case? And by the way, that's what I think if I'm wrong with your presentation. Everything else, you came back very critically and handled everything, I thought, very well. Most of the witnesses did. I'm going to say most because I can't remember if you all did, and so far I can't remember anybody doing anything wrong. Also, one more thing. You hear how quickly I'm talking? Because there's a time limit. I'm not sure exactly what it is. But if I really were in court, I would be talking more like this. And if I had to speed up, I would probably go a little bit of a southern drawl, and to make sure I was not doing my natural thing of talking too fast. But a lot of you, unless you're constrained by time, slow down, articulate better. You'll see some notes in that. Occasionally I would mention that I thought you were talking too rapidly. It can happen when you get excited. But if you find yourself getting excited, that's the time to think that you're going to have to draw it out a little bit more. Okay, what do you got?
By the way, I'm Gunnar Gunnarsson with the State's Attorney's Office here, Civil Division. So I'm very familiar with this courthouse. One of the unfortunate things here, this is a family courtroom, so we don't have a jury box, so we're kind of constrained in terms of where the jury sits. So I think the way you place the exhibits, I think that was really the best thing for the jury to see. So if it were over there, it would have been hard to really see. But the point about the lapel pins, I guess that kind of shows why it might be risky, because different people have different reactions to it. I thought the motion to strike at the end was really well taken, because you got to always jump on the evidence, you know, and make sure if something's admitted with a condition that they satisfied the condition. So I thought that was a real good point. And the defense on just the theme in the closing was really effective. Making sure to tie back into your opening. And your opening theme, yes, there was a crime here and there were victims here, but the criminal is someone that's not in his courtroom. Again, I think everyone did a fantastic job. They're all very good. It's hard to distinguish. I mean, we have to draw certain nuances in distinguishing the performance. But I think you all did a great job, and it was really a pleasure to observe you and to sit on your jury. So that's about it for me.
Come on for individual comments? Is it okay if we come for individual comments?
Yeah,
Sure, yeah.
See, all of you guys here have large egos, otherwise you wouldn't be here in the first place. So I'd be glad to speak to anybody at any time.